Hello! Today's tutorial is of this very easy to do bow, because you've been requesting easy and cheap accessories, and I got the grosgrain ribbon for this from eBay for about $2. There are a lot of different colors and widths available, and you can find cute charms pretty much anywhere. And you can find alligator clips or brooch clips or anything like that. I got 50 clips for $2 about from eBay. So this is very cheap and very easy, but still looks very cute. You will need your ribbon, some thread, a needle, and whatever ornaments you decide to put on. So the first thing you want to do is kind of eyeball what kind of size of bow you're going for. So I'm guessing that that could be nice. So you want to put them a bit overlapping each other so that you can sew them nicely and firmly on top of each other. So I have about 2 centimeters of overlapping. So here is my first bow or ribbon, and I want to make the second one a bit bigger. And I'm going to start with these ones. So first I'll overlap the pieces a bit and make a few stitches. Just a few quite loose ones. I'll leave the ends out a bit. So that I have one stitch and a second one, and then I'll turn it over and just make so that I have 2 full stitches. And then I'll tie a knot. And then cut away the excess thread so that it looks like this. And this is just so that it will keep its shape when I start to actually gather up the bow. So I'm gonna repeat that to the second piece. And next we're going to fold them. So first fold in half, and then fold the ends backward. Both of them, so that it gives a nice bow shape. And you want to hold down and push for a moment so that you get creases, and it's easier to put the whole bow together. And next I'm going to attach my thread and needle to the smallest of bow pieces, because this will be on top, and I'll put the thread to the very top so that it's there when we need to sew the bow together. And there we have the thread on the top of the smallest bow. And next you want to assemble your bow. Starting from the smallest, the top piece, make the folds, and then take your second piece Sorry for the awkward angle, I couldn't quite figure out a good angle to show you this. But now I have the second bow folded as well. So now we're going to put them together and slightly overlap them. I'll show you the back side of the bows. This is the small one, this is the big one, and I have the thread on this side. So I want to open the top bow a bit over here. And I'm gonna slide the bottom bow in to the hole, like so. So that they are overlapping nicely. And then you take your unfolded or unsewn together piece, the straight piece, and make the folds. So that you have your bow and the bottom part, and again from the back side you slide it in. And I know this is hard to show, but you just fold them and put them inside each other. And after you're done that, you want to take your thread and, oh gosh, my nails are in the way. You want to go all the way around the bow, securing it. Like so. And then tie a knot. And here is your bow. It's okay if it looks a bit wonky, because now we get to touch it up. For example, my thread is not completely in the middle. I have to move it a bit over here. So I just take my needle and shuffle it along. And I'm gonna check my folds if they look nice and even, as well as move I'm happy with the folds. It's still not quite centered, but that will be fixed by our middle ribbon. I'm using a thinner grosgrain ribbon that is also black, but if you want, you can use the same one you used to make the entire bow and fold it in two, or you can use velvet ribbon or whatever you like. But I decided to go with this one since I have it and I think it could look nice. So you want to place it where you want it to be. Go all the way around. Make it nice and tight. And make a second and a third. Like so. And next you want to flip the bow over so that you're on the back side of the bow, and with your needle and thread you want to sew this so that it's nice and hidden. The seam is in the back. And if you're smart, you'll put thread into your needle before you do this, but I'm gonna put my alligator clip to hold that in place. I'm gonna keep the clip there for a moment longer and put the needle through. And make a knot. A nice and secure knot. And next I'm gonna cut off the excess of the middle ribbon, so to speak. And now I will sew and secure the middle piece. I'll take my clip off. And then you want to tie it off. Make a nice and secure knot. And then you can do final touch-ups. Until you're satisfied with how the base of your bow looks. When you're happy with your base bow, you want to take your charm or whatever decoration you decide to put on and put a thread through it, because now we are going to sew it onto the bow. So make a small stitch to where you think you want it and check. Yeah, that's good. And then make a couple of securing stitches. It doesn't need many because it's just a small charm dangling, so it should be fine with just a couple of stitches. And then take your thread, tie it off and cut the excess. Once you're done with that, you are going to need a lighter because we are going to burn very gently the ends of the ribbon so that they won't fray. And I stress this lightly, just back and forth, and that's it, because if you do this too much it will start to melt and then you'll have to cut a bit off. And it may be too short for the look you are going for. So if you are unsure, practice with the end of your extra ribbon. And as you can see, I'm pulling it, but it's not fraying. So then you do the other side as well. I'll do the very end again. And that's it. As for attachment, I just put an alligator clip through the middle ribbon, if you can see. But if you want, you can sew it on or glue it on. I prefer sewing. Or if you want, you can put a brooch thing and you can then attach it to berets or something like that. I just put this through because I may be making a headband and using this in it, so I didn't want to sew it on if I take it off. But that is it. Your ribbon is done. And that was it for this week's tutorial. If you have any other tutorial or video requests, please feel free to leave them down below. And I'll see you again next Wednesday. Bye!